Oh.
What I do is literally have notes on my computer, and after anything I do for SGA, I write
Jess.
it. And then for my weekly report form, I just copy and paste the whole thing.
We're gonna go live in like any second.
We'll talk about it. Yes. But we wanted to use. I will address these questions.
I'll change this thing.
And if I
Later.
don't,
Just try to get
screw me, message me, or see me on Monday. I'll be here all week.
Okay. And this one.
Oh, hold on. I need technical difficulties. Mute. There we go. Share screen. Share second screen. Share. Boom. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Is the link up on our social media bio?
It's just the YouTube link. It's the same thing we did last year. Should be good.
I will now yield my time to Treasurer Colquitt to go over budget bill number 1 during the approval of 2021-2022 SGA operating budget.
All right, good evening, everyone. As Vice President Treskovka said, my name is Jordan Colquitt, the SGA Treasurer, and I'll be going over our proposed operating budget for FY22. So first off, the first component of our budget is the executive budget, and some things that are funded under this section is the College Town Bus Shuttle Program, USA Today Readership Program, which gives all Towson students the Baltimore Sun and New York Times subscription for free, our Towson University Northeastern Campus fees, our SGA initiative and operations. We support the Counseling Center, the Athletics Department, all sorts of other departments, including the TU Food Share Program and our Emergency Student Relief Fund. Oh. Okay. So just going into our executive budget, should I go line by line, President? Okay, I'll go line by line for our executive budget. I'm proposing that we fund the College Town Shuttle, $18,213, USA Today Readership Program, $17,300, $5,000 for elections, $5,000 for inauguration and banquet, $14,000 for Tower Light advertising, $10,000 for discretionary, $5,000 for the student group conference and makeup summit, $5,000 for the multicultural conference, $8,000 for our engage involved at Towson module, $2,000 for food share support, $12,370.50 for athletic support, $15,500 for localist master events calendar, $19,500 for tune, $10,000 for freshman council, $10,000 for protocol together all, and $10,000 for It's On Us. I'll take questions. Director Leo.
What exactly $18,000 is that for involved at TU? Is that how much an outside company charges, or that seems high for a website? Maybe I'm just not sure of what exactly goes into that.
So that's a contract that we have with the university where we kind of like buy into the program, and it's not really our discretion, the amount that we charge for it, but it's an agreement that the SGA has entered into that we have to pay into that program.
And it's so consistent with that.
Correct. It's been a line item for forever. Director Johnstone.
Support and also putting a comment 5,000 for elections.
No, thank you. I accept that. Senator Techman.
It's on us.
It's on us. I yield to Chief of Staff Ambush.
Oh, so It's On Us is our annual, it's our bi-semester event that we do about, trigger warning, sexual assault awareness. And we do it like once per semester. It's typically held by our Director of Health and Wellness. And so that line item is kind of here, and that kind of replaces the Director of Health and Wellness line item, which when we go over the different director line items, you'll see later the fact that that director doesn't have one, and that's because It's On Us is their line item. When it comes to programming, you eventually learn programming can be very expensive.
Senator Ring.
Oh, sorry. I have a point of information. What, can you clarify the difference between athletic support and then the athletics fee that we also pay? Like, do they cover different things?
Right. I will actually look into that. That's a great question. I'm not sure I have an exact answer.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna mention, there are some commitments that past administrations have made like years ago that we still uphold. So throughout this process, Treasurer Copeland has been really thorough about going to these different departments, asking if there's any changes or wiggle room, but that's why a lot of these are the numbers, numbers. We haven't just pulled them out of thin air, and a lot of these are the exact numbers from prior to COVID. So if you have any questions about what it was before, you can ask those as well. So yeah,
Yeah, exact numbers or even reductions. Like I can say in some areas where last year we saved thousands of dollars in some of these line items, and I have the budget on band, you can go in and see the actuals and the proposed from last year compared to this year. I didn't see more hand. Justice,
So I
Olson?
remember something going on about what's going on. How does that affect the budget?
Okay, so in past years, we spent about 27,000 or more on tower line advertising. Last year, we spent 14,000 in a completely virtual format. That's why you see the number should be 14,000 again for this year, considering their fully digital aspect. Director Leo?
What does discretionary typically go to? 10,000 is more than some of these line items.
Right. So discretionary is discretionary. The SGA, we can use that to pull and fund different events. Typically, the president, if they have initiatives that they want to fund, they can pull from there. I will say that's also an area where we cut funds in excess of 10,000 from previous years. So, President DeVoe.
I'll also add, like, there are just little things that come up throughout the year that sometimes, like, we're just like, well, where do we pull that from? And no other line item makes sense. So really, it varies from administration to administration.
Director Johnson.
Has money been taken away or added to the share support?
To my understanding, Towson SGA has never supported the food share program. This is like the first year that's a line item in our budget. So the 2,000 you see there is something that we did this year as like kind of the start of that support. Any more questions regarding the executive budget? Okay. We'll move on. All right, we'll move on. So now we're going to move on to. Okay, we'll move on. We're still in the executive budget section. Next up, we have our Sga Professional Development, which, as you know, many of you all attended our summer retreat. It was a great time, and it's really a necessary time for us to just get to know one another, work on plans, work on our goals for the year, not only departmentally, but as individuals, and just develop as leaders. So proposing $13,482.39 for summer retreat, $15,000 for fall and winter professional development. The reason for that increase is because we're looking into doing more with this, with the winter retreat this year, like including our freshman council members who've historically not been able to attend that retreat. Really trying to groom future leaders to ensure the future success of our organization. Next up, we have makeups. We're not doing that, so nothing there. And then now let's get into initiatives. This is where all of our directors and all of our programming budget pretty much come from. First up, we have our Director of Legislative Affairs. Tiger Pride Day is expensive. I'm proposing $18,000 there. Our marketing department, $27,000. This is where all of our marketing materials, all of our polos, our name badges, all of those sorts of things, both internally and externally to represent our organization. Director of Civic Engagement, proposing $7,000. Director of Diversity, $10,000. Director of Higher Education, $1,000. Welcome to Towson Support Until You Take Over, $14,000, and SGA General Initiatives, $20,000. President DeVoe. Okay, good. She raised a point about the marketing line item, and I'll just talk a bit about that. So our SGA logo that you all see, that you saw on the first slide, it's not an old logo, it's new. And a lot of our marketing doesn't reflect that new logo. And we're required to, on any of our official letterhead or any printed materials or anything that's being distributed, we're required to use that new logo. But because of COVID, a lot of our stuff is simply outdated, and we're just gonna have to either not use any of those things or, of course, meet the branding guidelines and use the new logo. Senator Rink?
From the amendment, just on the prioritization to the
I accept that. Any more questions on our initiatives? Okay. Next up, we have supplies. I'm proposing that we allocate 3,000 to office supplies, 4,500 for technology, 4,000 for, wait, I'm sorry. Right. Okay, 8,050 for phones, 4,000 for printing, 200 for postage, 1,000 for shredding, and 1,000, I'm sorry, 90, thank you, President DeMille, 90 for shredding, and 1,000 for bank fees. Any questions about our supplies section of the executive budget? Okay, next. Oh, I'm sorry. Justice?
Office supplies change with SGA trying to build more people.
That is factored into our office supplies a bit. That's another line item where we reduced it actually by half. Senator Ring?
I would probably amend it for postage line item, just the format.
I accept that. By the way, it's still calculated properly despite it not having a comma period, but I do appreciate the proper. Any other questions? Nope, we're good. Okay. Next up, we have salaries and compensation. Our FTE salaries proposing $162,545. SGA members compensation $125,998.75. Do I have any questions regarding those line items? Director Leo?
I'm new, so has there been talk into compensating our senators, like our cabinet is compensated, or what is the status of it?
I yield to Vice President Cheskofka.
So most senators only do 5 office hours a week. So they unfortunately are not compensated at the moment. We would love for them all to be compensated. I believe, President Devoe, correct me if I'm wrong, there is the program gives some compensation.
So our senators that work more hours are compensated, to answer your question. I'm sorry, our Senate leadership, but President DeVoe, I yield.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's a great question. It comes up every year. So our Senate leadership team is compensated for the work that they do because they do a minimum of 10 hours in a week. And all of the members in SGA that meet that 10-hour mark and above are compensated. But entry level, not entry level, that's not the right word. But 5 hours and anything less than 10 isn't compensated at the moment. In terms of the Senate, in order to remain unbiased representatives of the student body, that has been the justification in the past, but I'm open to talking about that more. But if you would like to be compensated, run for Senate leadership. All right, great.
All right, do I have any more
So
questions? Senator Ring?
I have a point of information, not necessarily about the salaries, but where would, like, if senator wanted to put on an event, where would that pot of money come from? Like, which
So
one?
that would typically come from general initiatives or discretionary, depending on the technical. Any more questions? Okay. All right, the second section of our budget, it is smaller in line items but bigger in amount. Is the student organizations budget, and some things that these fund are all of our student organizations on campus that are eligible to receive a budget can apply through the budget hearing process and request money from the SGA. This is where that comes from. The sports clubs organization budget comes from this line item, as does the campus activities board budget and our SGA breaks and other things that we fund, such as alternative break connections. All right, so student organizations. First up, we have the budget SGA student organizations. Fall semester, I'm proposing that we fund this in the amount of 80,000. SGA projected spring semester 95,000. Campus Activities Board, 495,000. Sports Clubs Organization, 407,000. Alternative Break Connections, 15,000. Relay for Life, 12,000. Tigerthon, 15,000. Greek Council, in the amount of 11,000. Ujima, 3,500. Our supplemental fund, 10,000. Our Prove It Fund, 4,000. Weekend Retention Fund, going 2,000. Our Explore Conference Fund, 1,000. Our Collaboration Fund, 8,000, and our contingency, 5,000. Do I have any questions regarding or amendments or concern? So the Prove It Fund is to spark new ideas that we haven't seen on campus. Student organizations and individuals are able to apply for this grant and kind of, it's also, you may have heard it under the Just Do It grant. Same thing, just for the purpose of our budget. It's called the Prove It Fund. And just to host an event that hasn't been done before that will really make a difference in the Towson community. Justice Hurtado. Oh, I'm sorry. We can go back to that. I did miss that section. Thank you for the correction. So I went through this. I'll go quickly back up to our executive budget. I did miss the scholarships and student support line items. I'm proposing that we fund the Towson Student Emergency Relief Fund in the amount of 8,000, and our scholarships in partnership with the Office of Student Affairs in the amount of 15,000. Director Johnson.
Actually, for the moment stuff, you guys have not come down and we have a chance to increase the relief fund or
During the years, anyone can propose a budget change bill, and you can make those amendments. We just can add more to the total requested for the budget, but we can move things around.
Right. So if we do get sent home, hopefully we don't. Of course, we'd be doing a lot less programming. We would be able to move some of the money from our director's budget, general initiative, and things like that into this fund. Correct. Director Leo.
What can you explain the sports club organization? I believe that Senator raised a point related to athletics earlier as well. How does that money get spent? That $400,000.
I'm not sure if Vice President Shostakis will allow, but I can share the sports club organization budget with you. I'm not sure that that's common. So would you like to go through that now or afterwards?
Send it to everyone now, someone can send it out.
Right. So if we have if we could send the campus activities board and the sports club organization budget request on band, that would be great. Senator Reed.
The sports clubs organization is separate from the athletics department, so.
Correct.
Just, I guess that's a point. of
Oh,
clarification.
okay. So Director Leo's sports clubs organization is not under athletics. Further, I can just go off the top of my head. Some of the things that is funded under this line item includes insurance for our sports clubs, travel for students to get to different conferences and stuff like that. Of course, equipment, and just making sure that our students have the opportunity to participate in club and intramural sports if they don't want to compete at the D1 level, or maybe if we don't offer what they're interested in. Justice Hurtado.
for the student.
Speak up just a
Okay.
little.
For the student relief fund, I know in the past, like, over relief fund. Do we know about how, is that amount expected to cover?
So this is not the emergency relief fund, although it's amazing and definitely desperately needed. This isn't something that the SGA funds. This is something that President DeVoe brought to the executive board as an initiative that she wanted us to take on. To my knowledge, it has not been funded through SGA in the past. This is just us, doing our part to offer what we can. But that program is not funded through SGA. That would just break our whole. We're not doing it.
The university has the emergency fund that students can access. At the moment, the funds are depleted. Because a lot of them was federal funding from, I believe, the CARE Act. So, because of that, we wanted to contribute to adding a supplement to that amount. But historically, we have not done it. And it's also not through us, like, we don't mandate who gets it, but we are contributing to the pot of money. And all students can access it.
Okay, Director Hurtado. Oh, Justice, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So, what percentage of the fund?
Of the larger pot,
Yeah.
we, that's overseen by, Dr. Sga, who's at, I'm sorry, on the president's cabinet, if I'm correct. But yeah, and you can also ask questions of Dr. Hurt, who's the Vice President of Student Affairs, who can give you a little bit more information about that. But, once we heard that the funds were depleted, we knew we wanted to contribute to it, but we don't oversee that amount.
Are there any further questions regarding executive budget stuff or student organizations? I did get down to the last item from our budgeted student orgs down to the contingency fund. Are there any questions regarding any of those line items? Let's see. That concludes my budget presentation.
Thank you very, very much, Treasurer Colquitt. We do very much appreciate you sharing this all with us. So I recommend we table budget bill number 1 until September 21st, which will be the third GA due to the census. I also want to note that we can access funds with specific kind of discretion, even if we do not.
Also, just so you guys know, this is projected, contingent upon us getting a certain amount of enrollment from the student. Because we are funded by student fees, everyone pays approximately $45 per semester towards this amount. So if we get less enrollment, then we'll have to read this, but we wanted you all to see it at the time.
You have a question?
Yeah, will the spending from now until September 21st be in alignment with this budget? Like it'll be on the same track, you know, you don't have to go back and rewrite the budget in the 21st.
I'm sorry, you asked the funds that are currently being spent up until we pass the budget. Is that factored into the budget?
Right.
Yes.
Any further
Justice Hurtado.
I just have one more professional collaboration fund, or is it too late?
Oh, I can go back. Oh, no. Is it not too late or am I not here? It's not too late.
It's not too late. So I know that with the new Tiger Strikes package, or Tiger Strikes package, an event that collaborates two different clubs that collaborate. One of those is a LinkedIn. Is there like an increase that sorry, I'm trying to think about this, but is there more funds compared to last year because there's now more of an incentive for clubs to work together?
I believe that I'm sorry. I don't think that it's an increase from last year. I think it's a decrease. That is a good point to consider. In past years, that line item has barely been tapped, but initiative that we wanted to work on this year was actually increasing incentives to use it. And we already had student orgs, tap into that line item. So like President DeVoe said earlier, if it does get to a point where we say, okay, maybe more students are using this grant than this one, or we are able to tweak things through the Senate as needed. But no, the amount in the collaboration fund is not higher than previous years. Are there any more questions?
With my recommendation. Seven. Any second?
Senator.
Oh, wait.
All right, awesome. We will now be voting on tabling budget bill number 1. All in favor? All opposed? Abstaining? With that, the motion passes. We will now table budget bill number 1 until September 21st, which will be the third GA.